password.
You can use mine to get on the internet.
Prodigious.
いくつもの時代僕らは巡り会えた呼び合うように力は無限大どこまででも歩くよ
Welcome to Prodigious episode 503.5, Treading Over Merukimon Feedback.
Merukimon Part 1 feedback.
Prodigious is your critically nostalgic analytical tour through the Digimon anime. I'm Jeff Ruberg, and I have the crest of guilt over there being a mid-season hiatus again.
I'm Ashley, and I have the crest of beating Jeff up because Jeff sucks.
Wow, that's such a blunt. So let's dive into some announcements. First off, the mid-season hiatus is, I don't even know if it needs to be announced.
Is it even mid-season? It's like we got 13 episodes into it.
I guess so. It feels like it is because it's like, I think the season plan is for there to be 508 is the last one. So it's like got through 3/8, which is almost half. Anyway, yeah. So all I can say about that is sorry. And I think the crushing weight of trying to edit the episodes in the normal with my current editing process weekly was too much to bear. And anyway, reconfigured things and should be better going forward. And I guess to elaborate on what that means, our future episode schedule, we're going to be, instead of trying to aim getting Data Squad episodes out weekly, there didn't seem to be much benefit in that.
Jeffrey, nobody believes any words you're about to say right now, so don't say them. Don't say them.
It's much more manageable. So anyway, Data Squad episodes are going to come out every other Monday, and then we're going to have feedback episodes so basically, episode 504 is coming out on Monday, and this episode 503.5 is coming out the Friday before that. And that's the pattern I want to keep up for the rest of them. So new episode on Monday and the feedback episode for the previous episode, the Friday before that. And then in the off weeks between the main episodes every other Monday, we have some stuff planned. We recorded about the Try stage play, and that's going to be coming out the week after 504. Ashley's just shaking her head like...
Because this is ridiculous and not going to happen.
It is.
No, it's not.
The bigger question is like, we have goals and aspirations. I have goals and aspirations to do other things in other off weeks, but I don't know. That's the thing that I think. I'm promising the Data Squad every other week, but I'm not so hot. I'm promising filling in every other gap week. I'd like to with other stuff. I mean, we have more Try episodes to, like, we need to do the Digi News episodes with chapter 3, 4, 5. We haven't really covered the dub of Try chapter 3, which is already out. There's going to be 4, was just in theaters. We didn't get to see it in theaters. So all that kind of stuff that is potential for episodes. Hacker's Memory has been out for a couple weeks, and like to have some kind of review of that once I've finished it, but Ashley hasn't even started playing it yet. So I don't know what we can do for that.
Jeff's life is an obvious mess. Mine is more of a less obvious mess.
I don't see that's relevant, but it's true. And also Q&A episodes. I think that's one thing I want to do going forward is pull out, instead of trying to squeeze Q&A into these feedback episodes, I think those make a lot more sense to just be their own episodes. So anyway, that's all kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm just going to say anyway over and over again. Anyway, I'm good at segues. Totally. There's also a Try Chapter 6 PV. I think it came out in December, so we're way late on the news on that. We'll have a link in the show notes to it if you want to watch it, if you haven't heard about it already in the 3 months since then, 2.5, whatever. Ashley, do you have thoughts? This isn't a full PV reaction. We just figured we'd say like we have a couple like what we're feeling about Try right now. No thoughts?
Try just needs to end.
This sounds like the line from Star Wars. Like, what? The Jedi need to end.
The Jedi need to end.
Digimon Try needs to end.
It does.
It'll.
Today my coworker told me, he was like, I saw that there's a new Digimon movie coming out. I'm like, yes, but it's a movie that like is the continuation of a series that's been going on since 2015. So I'm not that hype about it.
There's also, yeah, chapter 4. I don't know if we have time to go into why we didn't see it in theaters, but we're busy, and I'd already seen it multiple times, including in Japan. Also, my coworker...
Oh, it's chapter 4. You said
Right.
3. Chapter 4 is much worse than 3.
Chapter 3 wasn't in theater. Chapter 3 we haven't covered, and we do want to cover because it's actually good. We didn't cover the dub, I mean.
I see.
Chapter 4, though, was the one that was
They were
in theaters
separate
recently.
thoughts.
What?
They were separate thoughts.
Yeah. So, anyway, yeah, this trailer, this PV, I don't know. I didn't really have any thoughts when it came out. Probably why it hasn't come up on the podcast already. I didn't feel urged to do an episode about it. It's a really short one. I think the first PVs are usually pretty short, and the second ones are more comprehensive. And there's probably a second one going to drop at any minute now, any day now.
Drop right now.
Yeah, that could be another off-week episode. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. The only thing that's really shaping up in this one is that, like, it's clear that Ordine-mon, which should have been obvious in the last one, that Ordine-mon is going to be the big threat of this last climactic movie. And I don't know, that I find that now in some ways it's kind of exciting that it's like Gatomon or Tailmon is involved in being the big bad of this series. I don't know, whatever. We'll see what happens when we get to it. And I don't know, there's not really much from this. Because it's like, I feel like on one hand, this teaser is showing you things. It's like, oh my God, there really are big consequences from the last movie. And on the other hand, it's like showing you images that are like, no, there really aren't. I don't know how much. Everyone's already watched the PV. Like, it's showing like Yamato and the goggles and like talking. I forget what
We already know these things.
No, but I'm saying like it's the showing Yamato and the goggles. I feel like it's supposed to be saying that they're moving on from Taichi and like maybe he's actually dead. But then they show Yamato holding a Digivice and Taichi holding a Digivice. I mean, I guess it's not 100%, but it's like the two skin tones reminded me most of that. And that could be metaphorical, might not be literal, but I doubt they're going to retcon everything and be like, oh, he actually died. So whatever.
Yeah, Taichi's totally dead, y'all.
You know what? This speculating on this PV reminds me of like data model overfitting. Like you have a couple data points and you make this big elaborate model to fit these couple data points, but it's like that doesn't actually. Once you see more of the picture, it's like, well, that did nothing because all you hyperfitted. Anyway, we're going to move on from that and talk about follow-up from episode 503. It's been so long since we did 503 that I've kind of forgotten about what we talked about.
I have no idea what we're talking about. I barely remember what episodes it covers.
Well, I remember that, but we'll be better in the groove once we're actually back to recording feedback episodes.
No, just Keenan's introduction and Merukimon, right?
Yeah. So I remember these episodes because I went back and got GIFs and posted things on Twitter and stuff for these episodes more recently, but I don't remember what we said about them. In future episodes, when we're more in sync with the release schedule, we'll hopefully not be so rusty.
Remember all the empty promises Jeff has made you?
So many. All I'm just saying is we're going to be less rusty. You can't prove or deny that. Okay, so this is follow-up things that I wanted to mention that we didn't get to talk about in the episode. We didn't talk about how Lilamon is the only ultimate. I mean, there's only 3, but Rise Greymon has a CGI evolution, 3D CGI evolution, and Makagumon does, and Lilamon doesn't.
We didn't talk about that?
No.
It feels familiar.
We didn't talk about it. I wrote down that we didn't talk about it, so I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about it.
Maybe we talked about it in 504 then. I don't know.
Think so. Maybe? No. I don't know. We're all a mess.
This just feels like something that we've had a discussion about. Maybe I'm just conflating
maybe talking about the mega evolutions, but those are all CGI.
No, I think we've had previous discussions about how things with metal on them in like Tamers or something.
This does sound really familiar. We're just having deja vu now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Had
maybe we have talked about this.
CGI animation, but
you know what's an entertaining podcast? Listening to people talk about how maybe they've talked about it on a previous podcast.
We talked about other things.
Okay. Something I definitely remember we talked about in 503 was about your frustration with every danger in Digimon, every mortal danger in Digimon being about trucks running over people.
Yeah.
And like Andrew, I thought made an offhand joke to like, oh, Truck-kun, whatever. And I thought he was like, oh, ha, Andrew's just like personifying the truck, whatever, haha. But Truck-kun is like a thing, is like a meme that people.
I know.
Did you know the time?
I don't think I knew it at the time. I think that's what introduced me to it, and then I was like, this is amazing, and I love it. Now I love everything.
I think the Know Your Meme article says that people also refer to Truck-kun as Truck-san, Truck-sama,
Truck-chan,
Truck-senpai, Truck-tan. Oh boy.
I mean, I don't think this forgives the overuse of like
no, it doesn't forgive it.
people in Japan apparently just get run over by delivery trucks all the time, but
It doesn't forgive it. I mean, does it make you a little bit less annoyed by it? Maybe.
it makes me laugh for sure.
Yeah, the fact that it's like so overused that like everyone else is aware of it, and it's not just a Digimon thing. Apparently, makes it a little bit more
Right.
A little
I
less
think I can forgive it that it's a cross series. It happens once, but the fact that it happens repeatedly in Digimon, I was like, no, bro.
Yeah. So one of the things I wrote down, this is something I realized later when I was making like screenshots or posting things on social media, but like the image of Merukimon after he's taken down Biyomon, you have to think all the way back to Merukimon's introduction. This we recorded this so long ago.
Merukimon, it's fine.
But like they're trying to make him build up his threat level and how he's so much more powerful than them. Just the image of Biyomon's egg in Merukimon's hand is so evocative. I don't know. I don't know how much I can say, but it's really good. We're gonna have a link to it in the show notes.
He can't even crush it because it's so tiny. If he just like wrapped his hand, it wouldn't even do anything.
I don't think that's how eggs work, but sure. Yeah, just take a piece of caviar and just squeeze your hand, and it'll just be fine. It won't burst or anything.
But it's so tiny, it wouldn't even. It would just like fall into a crevice.
A piece of caviar it's not that tiny actually. You take a piece of caviar. It's like caviar in our hands. Actually, I don't know what happens when you take it. What happens to caviar?
Caviar?
Yeah, caviar is fish eggs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you not know what? This is on air. Ashley admitted she doesn't know what caviar is. But actually, when I'm thinking of what would happen to caviar, I'm imagining, like the boba tea when it had the little tiny bubbles, little boba, little tapioca bowls. That's what I'm imagining. We're like little, or no. There's like the gel ones. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh,
that's what I'm imagining.
It's not tapioca.
It's not tapioca.
What is it?
They're like flavored. I don't know. Whatever. This is Digimon related.
Sakura flavored.
Sakura flavored? What is it?
I have Japan on my mind.
You're just saying random things. All right, and now we're going to move on to our weekly-ish question. In the notes, I still have written down as weekly-ish question. It's now the bi-weekly question. I removed the ish.
Jeffrey, it's the every 2 months question.
I can't deny that. Okay, but the question was, so the episodes we covered 12 through 18, I think. Yeah, 12 through 18 were, no, yes.
12 through 18?
Were about,
sure.
In those episodes, there was Thomas's backstory, Yoshino's backstory, and Marcus's backstory wasn't in those episodes, but it's just been throughout. So we asked the question, who had the best backstory and why? And so going through these quickly, we didn't get many responses, but because it's been months since this episode came out, and it's a random question. But DigiLissy on Tumblr said Toma, and then a smiley face, no explanation.
Just Toma.
Just Toma. On Twitter, friend of the show, Meishindraman, at Ancient Irismon, said Masaru because it's relevant for the whole season. I mean, Yoshino's is ditched after her Digimon gets to perfect, and Toma's is only relevant for a few episodes. Yeah.
Is that why they named... No, because that's just a misspelling of Toma, right?
No, Toma is ambiguous in Japanese. Like there are lots of different ways. Is that why they
named him Thomas, though? You just add an S on it?
I mean, yes, because they named him Thomas because Toma sounds like Thomas. It's the obvious like English sounding name that you would pick. No, but Toma, yeah. So Toma, the way that May spelled Toma is Thoma, and I've also seen it written Touma, Tohma, because in Japanese, because it's just written in katakana. It's just written as to. It's written as a long syllable. Yeah. And so like I've always thought it was just like OU, like most long syllables, but because it's supposed to be like a non-Japanese name, like who knows?
All right, this sounds garbage.
Anyway, that's not the point of this. Kari's so also on Twitter, Kari's my favorite. At Jackals31 said, Kari's backstory is my favorite. And laughy face. And laughy, crying, tear face.
Joy.
I mean, do they really have backstories in Data Squad? That's fair.
Sick burn.
That's fair. And then we also got a mysterious voicemail from... this voicemail was just titled "The File on My Computer," which happened. It just appeared on my computer one day. It's just titled. It's titled 503 dark_Davis_call.wave.
Yeah.
Let's see what it says.
Hey everyone, my name is Dark Davis. I come from a parallel universe where everything is dark and depressing, especially me. The difference between me and regular Davis is I have dark highlights in my hair, and I wear a black leather jacket instead of Davis's traditional, like, flame leather jacket. Anyway, I'm gonna answer the question or whatever. Which Data Squad character has the best backstory and why? Well, for me it's gotta be Thomas. 'Cause the tragic and brutal way his mom passed away and the pain and anguish he feels, I can really relate to. It's like the problems of my mom. She says I can't have mac and cheese anymore because it's not real food. Man, world's so messed up sometimes. Really makes you think. Anyways, my friend Dark Vmon just showed up. He's the edgy and black version of the regular Vmon.
Hey, Davis, wanna put these bed sheets over our heads and act like ghosts?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Well, see you later, Poddigis or whatever.
Okay, let's get these on.
Boo, a scary ghost.
Spook, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So because of our weird audio setup this time, which we're trying for the first time, we weren't able to capture our reactions while we were listening. So you may not have heard our laughter, because that was the first time I was hearing it. Normally I pre-screen them.
Oh, really?
But
Wow.
that was fantastic.
Hey, Jeff, did you know mac and cheese isn't a real food?
I want
is
fan
Dark
art.
Vmon a real
No.
Digimon?
No, I'm 90% sure. But I
See,
want,
you doubt yourself.
I want fan art. I want fan art of Dark Davis.
Dark Davis fan art. That's true.
I
That'd
mean,
be good.
if you Google Dark Vmon, you find
yeah.
people have done the obvious color palette swaps.
Yeah. Well, because
There is actually someone's done palette swaps of Dark Davis with the leather jacket. This is absurd.
Snaps.
Original fan art would be amazing though. Yeah, what else is there to say? Thomas, Dark Davis would like Thomas. Is darkest and
Emo
edgiest.
truck.
We haven't even reached the latest arc that we recorded. 506 was one that we were like, this is trying to be so dark and edgy.
Yeah, Belphemon.
The one, the end, the Belphemon stuff. This one isn't even touching that yet.
No, it just got Truck-kun in it. Truck-kun.
Don't try to make a theme song with Truck-kun.
Oh man.
Let's move on to feedback with a couple minutes left. I'm trying to set a timer. I don't know how, like Ashley says, I don't live up to the things that I set out to do. So who knows if we'll live up to this 30-minute timer. Anyway, so this is a comment on our episode 400 YouTube video, actually. So it's about Frontier. But so who knows? Maybe they'll eventually. I think they're probably going back to the archive or something. So maybe they'll get to this episode someday.
Poor Frontier.
So Dung Bui on YouTube said, "Love your podcast. I love Frontier, and I remembered trying to catch up on the episodes and trying to figure out its schedule and when to watch the new episodes. Because I think in this episode we were talking about how it had a weird schedule and we didn't know when it was airing and stuff like that. Anyway, back then I was in middle school and I couldn't watch it because it aired around the time when I had to get in the car and go to school. Out of desperation, I asked my brother to record its audio for me. Yes, you heard me, the audio. We didn't have any TV recorder back then. So when I got home and listened to the episode's audio on our Walkman, it was like the kids back in the 1940s listening to their program via radio. I thought it was a pretty funny story. Deep?
It's
not deep. It's almost like listening to a podcast. Watching, and
yes.
I've tried watching anime. I tried studying Japanese by taking the audio of when we were covering Tamers, I guess. I would take the audio of Tamers and just listen to it in Japanese. Mm-hmm. It wasn't very useful. I had no idea what was going on. Mostly because of the language gap, though.
Yeah.
I imagine even in English, though, it wouldn't have been very informative. But
I recorded the opening to Frontier on a cassette recorder and listened to it a lot. That was real cool.
That's a bonus episode we could do, or an off-week episode. I found when we were in the East Coast a couple weeks ago, we were back at our parents' places for the holidays. I found the cassette tape that I had as a kid where I recorded all the Digimon songs I could find from so it's like awkwardly stitched together, like from the TV, but it's not just one song. It was way before Frontier. I think it has maybe 102 song in it, and it has like the Mimi song because I think
Mimi song was cool.
I think it even has the Tai and Joe attempts because I was like, I need to have everything on this tape. Oh my god,
silly child.
So I recorded the audio on my phones just so I could release it as an episode. At some point.
You recorded it on a cassette tape from a TV to your phone. That sounds amazing.
That's probably the least lossy transition. Because that captures the effect of listening to it on a stereo, which is how you would have. I couldn't find the cassette. Like I had to play it back on my stereo, like my CD stereo speaker in my parents. Yeah. what I wanted to find was the original cassette player that would have recorded it, but I couldn't find that. I don't know where. It was somewhere buried in my parents' house.
Oh no. Tragedy.
So back to stuff about Digimon Data Squad and episodes 503, because this is 503 is when we met Keenan. So Victor, friend of the show, Victor used to be on Digimon Rewatch, said on Reddit, I love Jeff Nimoy to death, but I really think he should have dubbed Ikuto. So Ikuto is Keenan's Japanese name, obviously. He should have dubbed Ikuto as Simon. He would have pronounced it Simon, and it would have further solidified his upbringing as a Digimon. And
oh, yeah. I did see this comment at the time, and I was like, yeah, that would have been good.
Would have been great. I think my comment was like, this is perfect. This is a big shame.
Also, you almost pronounced your own name wrong. You said Geoff.
That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yeah, it did.
I think we had a couple comments too about the like absurdity of Keenan not realizing that. I don't think we actually commented on this in the episode.
Why would he name him Keenan? Keenan's not like a super.
That's actually explained in later. It might be.
Really?
I think it's in the episodes of 504 that Frigimon hears Keenan's parents talking through the gate. They scream out for Keenan, and then she's like, "Okay, Keenan." Doesn't really follow that. Like that's how.
No, but like
doesn't follow that she would understand enough that.
Oh
like,
no, I just meant like why would Jeff Nimoy have picked the name Keenan?
Oh! I don't know. I don't know why they chose the name Ikuto. The only thing I think about Ikuto is that.
Well, I don't know what Ikuto means.
I mean,
so
I'm pretty sure it's written in. Let me double check this.
Knowing that Keenan is not like exactly a well-known name.
Oh, Ikuto is actually written in kanji. I thought it was written in katakana. My theory, like both watching it now and when I was learning Japanese, was that Ikuto sounds grammatically like if I go, like iku, go, and to is if. So like there's that moment when, it's in future episodes, maybe I'm spoiling things, but there's a moment when they're deciding, Ikuto and Keenan are deciding to go back to the digital world. And he says like, if I go.
You just said Ikuto and Keenan.
They're the same person. I'm not saying they're two different people. I'm not saying two different characters are doing something. I'm saying, anyway, so there's a moment where Ikuto says Ikuto, like, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's the moment. That's a silly thing to, also apparently the kanji in his name, the second one is just person, but the first one is cultural progress or perfume.
Or perfume.
So his name either means cultural progress person or perfume person.
I'm pretty sure it means cultural progress person.
I'm pretty sure it means perfume person, actually.
I don't think so.
So that's why I chose the name Keenan, because it most evokes perfume person. I don't know why they come up with Keenan. Probably just for the K. What kind of, I don't know what logic they go through.
I don't know.
I'm curious with that process. But
Jeff Nimoy, why did you name him Keenan?
So the next comment came from Tamer Theory. I think this was in our Slack. We've had it in this doc as feedback to bring up for a while. I can't remember exactly where it came from, but anyway. So this is what he said. In regards to Yoshi's fever dream, I'm going to try and word this as carefully as I can since it's a common subject on the show, as is, but do you feel there's a double standard when it comes to writing female characters in action shows? For example, I felt disappointed that the previous top DATS agent, quote unquote, was a shy pianist in her past. But at the same time, if they overcorrected and made her the best of the best, it seems like they'd be catering too much to female audiences, which is nonsense, of course, since men have John McClane, Rambo, The Expendables, Mad Max, and endless more. But as you guys said at the start of the season, Yoshi is more said to be a top DATS agent than shown to be a top DATS agent. What do you guys make of this double standard, if you notice it at all? And which female Digimon character is probably the best written? My vote goes to Rika. So what do you think, Ashley? I think part of this is just like, yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely. I've forgotten, like, Yoshi is so unimportant in the place that we are at now that I forgot that this was even like a
even at
contentious point.
So like the last episodes we watched were like 38. So we're near the end of the show in our mindset. But even at this point, even in like around episode 15, I feel like she was still largely irrelevant. And
yeah, like her backstory is weak. So
the idea that she was at some point lauded as being the top level DATS agent or the top DATS agent or whatever is like, I forgot that was even a character detail. Like,
no, I remember it was a character detail, but now looking back at it, I'm like, because she was the only DATS agent? Like, is that
maybe. I mean, they do allude to there being other branches of DATS. Like they say that Thomas is from the Austrian branch.
Yeah, but I feel like they were just talking about that branch.
Yeah, it's also, the world building is not, okay, I like the world building of the show, but like, it's basically only what is shown on screen. You go beyond what's shown on screen just a tiny bit and you're like, nothing makes any sense. I hope our cat licking himself is picked up on mic.
Yeah.
I don't actually hope that. But
in terms of who is the best written female character, it's hard to say definitively that it's Rika. Like, I certainly like Rika the most.
Yeah, I think for both of us, Rika is our favorite.
I think Rika only works though as a like good, well-written female character in relation to there being Jerry though. Like,
Like if there weren't Jerry, you'd just be kind of like,
that would be overcorrecting for me.
I don't think that would be overcorrecting. But I think the problem with Rika, I think this came up in an episode of Pages. I don't remember which one, but that like when we and most of the fandom likes Rika, it tends to be because she's such a tomboy. Like that we complain that like Digimon female characters fall into basically two different roles, either like girly girl or tomboy.
Yeah.
And like maybe the only exception that I can think of is Kari.
I guess.
Like she's neither of those. She is a different kind of weird, not great archetype of like Jesus.
Yeah, but she's like, she's like a sacrifice archetype.
Yeah, and like a pure maiden kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's a different. It's not that common in Digimon, but it is a otherwise troubling archetype. So the fact that like Digimon either groups people into tomboy or girly girl, like. And the fact that the female character that most Digimon fans like the most, being Rika, aligns with being more manly, not manly, but like boyish, and like that is troubling. I think Ash raised that point that like it's not great. Like we're like, oh, Rika's so awesome, she's so well written. It's like, well, because she's written to be the most like the guys and to be the most like I'm one of the guys, and that's troubling too. But I think it's actually turned around. But like I feel like nowadays everyone is very effusive with their praise for Mimi. And
I agree that it's turned around, but. Again, I just think the only way that I can definitively say that Rika would be like best female character is because Rika is also given moments with Jerry.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I think the idea of like her just being a tomboy or like whatever is, or just being like the guys, is a little bit subverted by showing sympathy towards Jerry and everything.
Yeah, and I think that Jerry is very clearly supposed to be the girlier girl, but I think they work better. No,
I don't think Jerry's supposed to be the girl. I guess she also doesn't fall into much of an archetype. She's weird girl.
I think she's probably more in line with Kari, if I think about it. But
okay, yeah, in that sense, in terms of like being quote unquote sacrificed, like yeah. But she's not. There are lots. Anyway,
whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, and so there's also an anecdote that Tamer Theory lists, because so Tamer Theory has been writing a Digimon comic, which is called Singularity, a Digimon fan comic, and there's a female character named Ayari. So this is what Tamer Theory wrote in. Having just released Singularity Volume 1, someone I showed it to said that I gave Ayari an interest in karate just to show she's a non-nonsense, strong, independent girl who don't need no man, when in truth, I was more looking for a quality she'd need to survive in the digital world alone with Candlemon. If David or Johnny, these are the other characters in their comic, if David or Johnny left and they had self-defense training, they wouldn't have blinked. So I think it's a good illustration of the double standard. I don't know who this person they showed the comic to that said this, but that like if a guy has a survival trait, it's like, oh yeah, of course they do. If a girl has it, then it's like, oh, you went out of your way to give them this trait, and it's like.
I mean, that's just the problem with having only one or two female characters, is that no matter what you do to them, it's then going to be like, you just did this to like break some sort of stereotype, and you just fall into another one. Yeah,
but by having more, like in the initial adventure cast, having 5 dudes and 2 girls, like you just get so much more breadth of possible things for guys that like there's no like it's just so much more natural. It feels more natural to be like, oh, well, a guy can be any one of these things and it's not weird for them to. But if you had a girl character who is like Izzy, who had all the quirks of Izzy, you'd be like, oh, well, they're going out of the way to make this girl really quirky or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that happens when there's only 1 or 2. Anyway.
Instead with Mimi and Sora, they're just like, I'm going to go base stereotypes, like basic play off each other of tomboy versus really girly girl. And it's just like,
and I think overall those are like subverted in interesting ways. Like they're not just as archetypes, but definitely in their introduction and everything. Like, and the dub emphasizes those more. Like I think they're more nuanced in the Japanese version. The dub like it plays into those more. So yeah. But no, I mean we totally agree that double standard exists and it's frustrating. And I don't know what we can do about it aside from just complain about it. And
I mean, it's never going to work again. Like. These seasons where it's like Zoe is the girl, Yoshi is the girl, it's just never gonna work out. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough because I mean, Yoshi's non-presence. I don't know. There's lots of other things going on there. And Atmon is a recent example of another season where there's only one main female character at a time, and people really like Eri a lot. And I don't know if that really does much to like, even though people like Eri, I don't think it really dissuades most of our concerns because it still has, but I mean, Atmon is a smaller core cast anyway. Actually, no, by the end, it's like 5. It's like 20% female, which is like probably one of the lowest. Actually, that's not true because Frontier, anyway, one of the lower ones. And so even though people like Eri, and I think I've seen lots of comments that are like, people find Eri to be, like, I saw this, like, when Atmon was airing, someone was like, Eri's my favorite female character in the show. And I'm like, she's the only, you mean like, of the one other character? Because there's only like one other female character in Atmon. And no, they meant like all of Digimon. Okay, and that's an interesting thing that, like, I mean, I didn't find her that compelling more than any other Digimon female character, but
I mean, that's fair, but my impression of Eri was still that she has a sort of, like, not overbearing, but, like, very effusive personality.
I mean, I don't think she fits into the tomboy or girly girl or maiden sacrifice archetypes. But I don't know. I think these double standards still exist regardless of those stereotypes. Like, I don't know if it really combats the stereotype, if it really, like, does much.
It's just like, you can be those stereotypes. The thing about that also makes Rika stand out is that Rika, again, we've complained that it's like Rika is given a role, like the things she does in the story make her seem like almost the actual main character over Takato, but she is, you know, she's not the main character, whereas you never feel that with Zoe or Yoshi. You're like, yeah, you're just definitely not the main character.
Yeah, but anyway, everything has problems. XXX Missed XXX said in the comments, I like how very meta Yoshi's conflict was. It's a related. Oh, so I guess there's 2 points to this. They like how meta it is, and I think that's, like, because she's she's upset about being the weakest of her siblings, and then is the weakest of the Digi siblings.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah. Anyway, but then they follow up. It's a relatable issue, I'd argue, although it isn't necessarily executed well. And I think we totally agree about it being relatable. I think we've mentioned in the episode too. That, like, it's totally relatable. It's not. I don't think it's an issue that we can just shrug off and be like, that's stupid, that's silly, whatever. But it just, execution was like, just felt like whatever. It just like, especially compared to. This is actually a comment from Emermoto on this note too. So Emermoto said, so Yoshi's big problem was, I am not as talented as my sisters, and therefore I am completely useless and I have nothing to offer. And once he said that, I was like, yeah, that is a big problem. But then Emermoto says, talk about first world problems. This isn't at all on par with Thomas's and Marcus's family issues. And I guess that's fair. It isn't, like, well, I don't know. I think, on the one hand, I think being crippled by an inferiority complex for your entire life is a very serious issue. But I think when weighed against, like, oh, your mom tragically died, or like your dad's been missing for your whole life or whatever, like, I don't know how you can, those aren't things you can compare apples to apples. And
yeah, it's just hard because one of those things is a personal issue and the other ones are kind of like external.
Yeah. It's like it's a personal issue versus a, like, your life has been subpar because of this external issue. But I feel like we've seen that, like, Marcus's life doesn't seem that subpar. Like, it's not like, it's like Marcus's family life missing a parent it reminds me, like, of like Cardcaptor Sakura. It's not like, like, she misses her mom and wishes her mom were there, but it's not like she has a bad family life because of it.
Yeah.
Like, she still has, like, a loving family that, like, I feel like the same for Marcus. Like, he still seems to have a great family. He has to, like, take up the mantle of being the man or whatever. But, like, he doesn't seem like he's really, like, stressed out about it or upset about it, whatever. Thomas, on the other hand, though, is just full man pain about everything. So,
well, that's because his dad sucks.
Yeah,
and his sister is.
Yeah,
Nunnally.
Your sister is Nunnally. Yeah, I don't know. And I feel like Yoshino's conflict or frustration or whatever issue, her backstory should be so much more interesting because it is, like, it reminds me of imposter syndrome. And I mean, I think we even talked in the episode, like, Andrew, like, Andrew was like, this is me. This is, like, exactly me, like, having a sibling that surpassed me. And
yeah.
And those are much more relatable issues, but it's just, like, in the way it's pulled off, the way it's in context, it's just, like, so blah, so unimportant.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the main issue that we had with it was that it didn't seem like Yoshi, Yoshi's had a lot of years because she's the oldest.
Yeah.
To, like, not get over it, but to learn coping mechanisms, to learn ways to not let that come up in the future that don't seem to have come into play at all.
I think this is another one of those instances where there's a divergence between truth and, like, what works in reality and what is narratively satisfying in fiction. Like, I think it's true that you'd have these psychological things from your childhood that would continually resurface, but narratively it is very undermining to be like, that's what defines her and that's what her biggest frustration is. And, like, yeah. So, like, even though it reflects reality and is all this stuff, but it's like, okay, but as a story, I feel like it just...
I'd actually really rather see Yoshi, just how Yoshi and Thomas had worked together. Because if Thomas is supposed to be this ultimate genius boy, but she seemed to work fine with him, like Marcus is the problem in their threesome.
That's not true. I mean, we don't see that like her reflecting on this pianist backstory is caused by Marcus or anything. It's like mostly caused by her fever.
No, but I'm saying like teamwork wise, we are led to believe that the problem for her and for Thomas is the inclusion of Marcus. I don't think
her butting heads and getting to arguments with Marcus really actually reflects this backstory of feeling inferior and whatever. You know, like I think it'd be very possible for them to be working as an excellent team together, her being subordinate to Thomas, and then to be like an excellent team, like A+ marks across the board, taking down every Digimon, but still feel an extreme inferiority complex. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it actually is related to butting heads with Marcus. Anyway, we should move on because we're behind schedule.
True, but
so Sirius Black Greymon mentioned in the comments, and I feel like I think Sirius Black Greymon has mostly commented in the fantasy draft. I don't know if we mentioned the name on the show. I just want to say that Sirius Black Greymon is the best username ever, and I'm sad I never thought of it in like my several decades of being obsessed with both Sirius Black and Black Greymon, and having usernames based on both of them, but never thinking to combine them. Anyway. I like.
Did you know that Sirius Black was Jewish, Jerry?
No, that's not true, Ashley. There was only one or more Jewish people in Hogwarts.
Only one or more. All right.
J.K. Rowling is so brave to say there was a Jewish person.
No.
Anyway, that was sarcastic if people didn't get the nuance. Anyway, the first line of Sirius Black Greymon's comment was, "Yay, 503 finally dropped." And this was like 2 months ago. So,
no!
I'm sorry.
Wait until 504 comes out, my friend.
And their comment is about how absurd it is that they, try to climb down the buildings in the Gorge of Deception instead of just flying on the flying Digimon they have, like Sunflowermon, just flying over the gorge.
I mean, this is always the problem in Digimon, isn't it?
Just don't use logic. Just don't think.
Just don't think about how they have flying Digimon.
No, just don't think. Just don't use logic. Just don't think. Don't. So we need to go through these quickly, but Embermoto had some comments about how DATS is being manipulative when they're trying to deal with Christy and like forcing her to join DATS, or they'll send Biomon away and then she'll never see them again. And what I wrote down on that was just like, DATS isn't good. I don't know, like it's in reflection is something I'm realizing that like, I think the other thing that made me think of it is like Samson's conclusion that it's okay to send Marcus and like incite this race war when like really they should be sending like someone who's capable of diplomacy and not just fist fighting diplomacy, is like, and he does that because he assumes that like, Merukimon actually wants to start a war and like wants to take over the world, and like coming to that conclusion is not good. And I feel like the show is not aware of how not good that is. And I wonder if on a similar level, this kind of like painting DATS as being so not rude, not mean, not even evil, just like abusive almost in the way they treat Christy and everything, but then not really like being condemning that. It's kind of like it happens and then other things happen and then it's kind of forgiven. And it's not like shown to like I think it's mainly like they show DATS doing things that are kind of shady and sketchy and bad, but then they're like, oh, but Samson's cool. And that's all they have to say about it.
Maybe. I also feel like it is trying to do a sort of, government has problems. The government will do shady things. We all know the government is shady, but also you still need government. Like,
I guess so. There should be some accountability. And one trend I find frustrating in the media is like the idea. This is on my mind recently because I want to get Ashley to watch Captain America Civil War before we see Black Panther next weekend. I'm not sure if I can convince her. But
no, you're
a theme in that is about the like government accountability versus like superheroes and like I don't want to spoil the movie for her, but like this idea that like, oh, we find superheroes like should be immune to law because they're great people. Like that works in comic books and in narratives, but like
there's no that Marcus philosophy. Damon.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, last comment I want to read from Remoto is just about how Thomas having a medical license at 14 years old is absurd. And so they go through the math and they're saying that so if he's been at DATS for a year, by the time he's 14, and then he would have had to go to 8 years of college, it means that Thomas would have had to start college classes at 5. And they also did research and said that the research they found was that Sho Yano was the youngest doctor they could find who got their license at 21 after starting college when they were 12. I did counter research and found...
Oh my God.
I found this is according to Wikipedia. The Guinness Book of World Records youngest doctor is Balumar. I can't pronounce. I'm bad at pronouncing any names. Balamurali Ambati, who apparently became the youngest doctor in 1995 at the age of 17. I think Wikipedia though lists age of 17 and 294 days.
Yeah, they're like almost 18.
But it's a sign of how young someone is to like list their days too. But I guess maybe that's actually contentious. But maybe there was someone who became a doctor at 17 years and 300 days.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Possibly.
So those are all our feedback. Yeah, we're excited to be back. And
Are we?
I am.
Okay, good for you. I have another podcast.
Wow. Send your comments about this episode to podages.com/503.5. You can also send your thoughts to us on social media. Podages is on Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook at the obvious handle Podages. We also have an email
Why
you
don't
can
we
send
have an
stuff to.
Instagram yet, Jeffrey?
Oh, is that you want me to do more social media?
You love it so much.
I do like social media. Part of the paralysis in taking this long to come up with these episodes is that I have been, like, for most of this time working almost intensively on social media
Yeah,
stuff.
Jeff needs to stop.
Yeah, I do. Anyway,
Special thanks to Extranimon for our new Season 5 Agumon artwork. And a quick shout out to our Champion, Ultimate, and Mega supporters on Patreon. Diab Jomon, Joe Keto, Kailunamon, Sam Kuwagamon, Andy Lusamon, David Graumon, and Marcus.
and stay tuned on Monday for the next Data Squad podcast covering episodes 13 through 19, aka Ashley Has Feelings About Merukimon.
Merukimon's the best.
Wait, those aren't the right numbers. That's what just came out.
I don't know what you've done, man.
I mean, it just came out, in December. Oh, I think it's 19 through 25. Those numbers sound right. AKA Ashley Has Feelings About Merukimon.
Okay.
And if you are going to believe Ashley and say that, if you're going to go along with Ashley in this and say that I can't be trusted at my word, this episode that I'm saying is going to come out on Monday has mostly been edited. So, like, there's a 99% chance it's actually going to come out on Monday.
I believe that this episode will come out on Monday. I believe nothing else, though. Nothing else is guaranteed.
Believe nothing except what I say. But then also, if you believe Ashley, don't believe that. Bye.
Bye.
And remember, never stop Digimon.